All right. So here we are. This is our very first coaching call in the group. Bobby is obviously, he's in Florida. You know, he's on vacation for the 15th time. I can't really pick on him because I was on vacation twice last month. But this is the very first time we're doing one of these coaching calls. And the whole idea behind this, just to kind of talk about it really quickly for anybody watching the call, Bobby and I were trying to figure out how we can improve things. We're always trying to figure out how we can improve things. And one thing we've had a lot of requests for is people messaging us and saying, hey, can I jump on a call with you? Can I do like a one-on-one consultation, that kind of stuff? Can you look over my stuff? We can do that in the context of the group. But like for me with the kids and everything, I have a hard enough time hopping on a call with Bobby, right? Like, let alone, and I don't hop on calls with my clients anymore. So it's just not something I can really do. And when I do it, Bobby and I both charge about $350 for an hour call, like a consultation. So we're like, okay, how can we give kind of a more personalized experience to help you guys with some of the nitty gritty stuff that, maybe you've got questions, you want a little FaceTime, whatever it may be. And we came up with having the hot seat call and having the coaching call. So in the hot seat call, it's you kind of send in your ads, your campaign back end, whatever, and we kind of analyze it and help you figure out what's going on, help you improve your ads hands-on. And then this one is more of like a business coaching call style. Now, if you've never been into kind of like an entrepreneurial mastermind or like a high-end coaching community or anything like that, it's really common. They'll do things like this. You can hop on I'm just trying to get some light in here. Maybe. Hop on a call with the coaches or whoever runs the program and work through whatever you want to work through. And so the way we see this is it's just an opportunity for you to come on here and just have a discussion with us. Okay. It doesn't really matter what it's about. If you're having a hard time with productivity, if you're having a hard time with sales, if you're having, or maybe you just want advice on something. It doesn't have to be that you're struggling with something. This is just an opportunity, almost like office hours with the professor, to go in and get some personal attention, to ask your questions, to talk with us. And if y'all come on here and you're just kind of, you don't, whatever you've got going on, if it just ends up being, hey, we're just kind of shooting the shit, that's fine too. We'll be in here. But so there's no real set agenda on these. I'm not coming in here with a lesson like we would on the normal trainings. I've just got my glass of Jameson and y'all's questions, and you've got access to my brain for the next hour. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how it's going to go down. This is recorded for the benefit of the whole group, so they won't get to ask their questions and get involved if they don't show up here live, but at least they can go back and kind of learn from, the insights. They can watch Jason doing the dishes. There's all kinds of stuff, whatever it is that they need. So I've found from these in other communities that I've been in, when we've done hot seats or coaching calls and stuff like that, the things that come out, like the little nuanced stuff that maybe we wouldn't have thought to create content about, or that doesn't really come across in like a written post, end up being these really valuable lessons. And I've always found when I've been in communities that watching these recordings is almost more helpful than the course sometimes, because of some of the stuff that comes out. Maybe higher level stuff that we consider that's outside the scope of the course might come out in this. So that's kind of a quick rundown of kind of how we view this. And, it is what it is based on what questions y'all got and how involved you want to get. So I'll pass it along to y'all. Anything?
We just chime in.
Who's gonna be the first brave soul?
I guess I can go first.
Cool.
So I had a sales call with a gym owner, actually the gym that I'm a member at, 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
And I'm still looking for my first client. So this is like another facet in life. When you're looking for your first, you'll take anything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So had the sales call. He liked what I was offering, but he wanted to do more of a trial type run as opposed to a retainer off the bat.
Yep.
I've been chasing him to get a decision for the last 2 weeks. So he liked my offer, but he hasn't made a decision. He had to talk to his business partner. he forgot to do that. So I'm still chasing him, called him today. He still has to talk to his business partner. I talked to someone at the gym a couple days ago, and he said that this business owner is a bit of a scatterbrain. So I'm getting the sort of impression that he's not a good client to have. But like I said, I'm looking for my first client, right? So I don't want to let it go.
Right.
But getting to the point where I'm like, should I let this one go? That's my sort of question. And obviously you're in a different position than I am.
Right.
You would probably have let this go.
But I've been in that position, right? And for me, I'll tell you, I never let a lead go unless I get a bad vibe from them, right? Like if I feel like they're going to be a crazy ass client, then I'll let them go. Because it's, you want to stay away from the crazy, in my opinion. But it's totally different when you're trying to get your first client. And if you have a lead, they're making contact, they're still talking to you, then I would keep following up. My question is, so he wanted to do a trial. I get that. What was your offer? Like, I'm guessing you did a 1-month trial of some sort. What was the offer that you made?
It was an 8-week trial. So 2 months.
Oh, an 8-week trial.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
Regular, like it would be regular price. And it's like, we're just going to do this for 2 months and see, or, okay. So I think you have like a couple of options here. Like, the first one, you can just keep nagging at him until he tells you no. I'm a big believer in annoy the shit out of people until they give you a definitive answer.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, the only way that I can help somebody is if they hire me, right? If they don't hire me, then I can't help them. And so like if I piss them off, like if I annoy them, whatever, that's fine. At least then I have an answer. Right. And usually in my experience, like I've found that more often than not, people appreciate the follow-up because they're busy. Like business owners are busy. If you ever try and chase Bobby and I down for something, like good luck. It's really, really hard because there's a lot going on. And even as like, I'm pretty freaking organized. And like you can ask Bobby, I've got like systems and processes for everything. And I still like other people might think I'm scatterbrained just because for me, it's one of those things. If it's not written down or it's not taken care of, like once it's in front of me or it's not on my mind. Right. And a lot of times, like I'm relying on other people and my systems and things to keep it fresh in my mind. Most business owners don't have that level of systems and accountability and team and that kind of stuff. So they're just busy and they forget about it. So it's one of those things I think, it could be that he's giving you a soft no. And in that case, the persistent follow-up is he's finally going to say, hey man, shove off. Like, I'm not doing this. Right. And then you can go back to just being a gym member and being cool. But it might be that he's just literally forgetting about it. And it's because what's happening is it's one of those things like, I want to do this. It's important, but it's not an urgent pain for him. Right. And that's going to be pretty common. So he might just not be, he's probably pushing it down his priority list. So the first thing is you can just be persistent. The second thing is you can go back and you can say, hey man, you wanted to do a trial. That's not what I've been taught. It's not what I plan to do. I have other opportunities. I've got other prospects. If you want to do this, like you need to share, get off the pot. Like what date can you let me know by? And let him set a date and say like and this is like you basically having to say, you tell me at this point or I'm walking away and this opportunity goes away. Right. And so you can put a little pressure in that way. It's a little more ballsy, right? Because you basically have to be like, I'm going to walk away from this. Like I always look at things when I make that kind of move. Like I like making those kind of moves because I'm okay to say like, you either want to be with me, you want to hang out with me, or I don't want to be with you. And so I'm comfortable to say like, oh, you passed the deadline. Sorry. Instead of being like, oh, no, it's okay. You can come work with me. Like I draw a hard line. And I feel like if you're going to make that play, you have to draw the hard line. Right. The next option is you can go back and say, hey man, I tell you what, I know you wanted to do a trial. Why don't we do a 1 month trial, right? Make it even easier. And, I'll do a 1 month trial. You can see what you think at the end of the month, and then we can decide whether to work from there afterward. But you have to let me know by this date. And you put a deadline on it. Like, that offer's only on the table for the week.
Right.
Or something like that. And you put the pressure on it. That might actually end up being probably like the best option, because then at least you can get to an answer, right? Because maybe he's dragging his feet because 2 months is still a big commitment,
right.
And just like when I get in this situation, sorry, I had the other screen up, and Gary and Ben are having this conversation. It just popped up and distracted me. It's kind of funny. I'm gonna go ahead and close that. So the other thing is, like, when somebody says that, like, oh, I don't know if I want to do the retainer, what I always tell them is like, hey, I get it. Like, you haven't worked with me. You don't know how I roll, and this might not work out. And then I always get real with them. I'm like, it might not work out. Like, I might not want to work with you. Like, we might get into this and I realize, like, you're crazy and I don't want to work with you, so, and I make it kind of jokingly, but like, I'm being real honest with them. Like, we might not like each other. We might not get along. This might not work out on either end. So, and I just tell them, like, I do monthly recurring stuff, but the reality is, if we get through 30 days and this isn't working for either one of us, we can both walk away. Right now, I don't do these big long-term contracts. I do month-to-month stuff. Like, I've talked about that before. That's why I do that. So I usually don't run into this issue, because I'm just like, cool, let's give it a try for a month.
Right. And
I still set them up on the auto bill, and I just talk to them before the auto bill and say, cool, you still in? You still going to do this? You game? Usually once you start getting them results, they're happy. So there's a couple of options, and then kind of like how I would handle that situation, like before you got to where you are.
Yeah. Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
One of the other things that we have done is we've created scarcity. So we had a client who was dragging their feet, and we just told them, hey, we have another client who wants to do business with us, but we won't work with two clients in the same market. So if you want to jump on this, and that day, he was like, okay, I'm going to go talk to my wife today.
Yep.
So that's also worked really well for us, is just creating scarcity.
100%. And that's a way to go for it too. I usually like avoid that one, because like, unless it's true, like, just personally, but I do something similar all the time where I just take on so many clients. And so if I get on that call, I'm just like, hey, look, here's the deal. Like, if I'm on a sales call with somebody, it means I have one spot. Like, that's legit, because I've just said I'm only going to work. If I'm going to be able to give you guys the attention that y'all deserve, like, I can only take so many people at the agency. And so I'll do the same thing. I'll be like, look, I've got one spot. People are coming to me all the time. You need to decide. But I think that's a great point. Scarcity always works. The fear of missing out is stronger than anything else. It's stronger than a sale. It's stronger than benefits. Like, you can't miss out on that. So that's a really, really great point.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot.
Yeah. And it's the same thing, like that last one where I said, I'll give you a 1 month trial, but you got to let me know by this date. Like, that's scarcity too, right? Because you can do whatever you want with an offer, right? Like, nobody makes up the rules, like the course, like this course, like the price is arbitrary, right? Like, the course, you can join the course for $397. Well, guess what? The cheapest similar course that I know of is $1,100, right? So our number is arbitrary. If we decide we're going to start selling it for $1,200, we could start selling it for $1,200. I think it's more valuable than some of the other courses that I've, been through, and I've been through all of them, And so, anyway, it's the same thing for you. Any offer you have, you get to set the limits, right? You just got to make sure you're willing to live with those limits. And if you say, I'm only going to do this is your only opportunity, you need to stick to that.
I have a question.
Yep.
Okay, so I've been doing a lot of cold emailing, and some business owners, they ask, like, can you explain a little bit more about what you do? And so I go over like the spiel, like I run Facebook ads, and I say I'm an expert, but still learning.
Right.
But I don't know if there's a better way to convey like what we do that makes them really want to purchase like the service.
Yeah, I wish Bobby was here for this question because he's the guy that's done email in that way. It's not a strategy that I ever used, but I think here this is that whole concept of selling the hole and not the drill, right? Like people don't care about Facebook ads, right? Facebook ads are just the tool that gets them the result, and the result is more clients through the door, right? And so what you do is let's say it's a gym, right? Like as an example, you say, look, what I do is use Facebook ads to basically get, more people applying for your programs and wanting to join your gym, right? Mm-hmm. That's what we do. And so with this platform, you're able to pay, and it's like a water faucet, right? Where when you turn it on, people are applying every day. And then all you have to do is follow up with them on the phone, and sell. Like all you have to do is sell your program and then help them get skinny. Like that's it. Because we take, and this is a big thing I always tell people, you're a busy business owner. You probably, that marketing is important, but you probably hate marketing or don't have time for marketing. And I take all of that totally off the table for you so that all you have to do is talk to these prospects and help them get results, the things that you're best at. And you can do that with any business, like whatever business that is. Like if it's a realtor, you can say, hey, you've got an open house, you've got a listing. I can get more eyeballs on that listing. I can get people that are handing over their name, email, and phone number because they want to tour that house because they're interested in buying that house or at least taking a look at it. We can do it incredibly cheaply. And, so that you're spending, $100 for 50 people interested in that house. And you're going to be able to sell, that house. One of those people is going to buy, right? And just think of that ROI. Think of that. And then, and like the realtor example, to take it even a step further, realtors can only handle so many properties at a time, right? There's like a cap on like kind of how many listings they can manage. And so you're basically telling them, think about if you've got more people interested in the house and going through and touring the house, like if more people are going through faster, it means you're selling the house faster. The property owner's probably higher because you're getting multiple bids and they're selling over the listing price, but you're moving properties quicker, which means you're selling more houses a year and you're going to make more money each year. Right. So now by talking about what you can do for them, if you talk about the result they want, right? Selling houses more quickly, therefore selling more houses over the course of the year, therefore being known as the top realtor in their area and making more money per year, right? Which increases their reputation, increases organic leads. That's the stuff they care about. They don't give a shit about Facebook ads.
Right.
And every single business is like that. So you need to learn how to sell the hole, not the drill. And the idea there is the Facebook ads are the drill that drill the hole in whatever, but all they care about is the hole.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. How's everybody else doing?
Good, I'll bite.
All right, let's do it.
Mind me, I'm working on a table for my wedding in the background, so.
Awesome.
So I've got a couple clients now, a handful of clients, and I still haven't been able to land a client that is full paying at $1,000 a month. And so kind of when I'm having that conversation with clients and they say, I don't have the budget, things like that, what are some things that, you can do when you're talking to those potential clients to ensure them that they're going to get that ROI, that they're going to, because that's the conversation I've heard a lot of times from a lot of different people that I've talked to is their main focus is on the ROI. They want to get their money back and then some, obviously.
So this is hard because you can't guarantee results in this business because it's dependent on them, right? Like you can bring them leads all day long, but if they can't sell, they're not going to get results. So all you can do is paint the picture and maybe show what you've done with past clients. So if you can show, hey, I got these clients and they've spent this much and they, made this much in sales, that's going to help. But a big thing, what I would say, and I'm sure you've watched this, but like, go watch Jessica's sales training, because so much with sales and when they have that kind of objection, they're scared, right? Like that's what it comes down to, is that they're scared and they maybe don't have as much trust in you yet. And a lot of that just has to do with, your confidence on the call and your confidence that you can get them results, and, your skills on that call, right? So I would say definitely go look at her what she teaches, because that was no kidding. Like I knew of her and I knew her reputation, but I hadn't spoken to her before we brought her on. I knew her reputation. I had so many people sing her praises that I was like, cool, let's do it. And after that training, I learned more on that training than any other live training that we've done with a guest. And that was hands down the best sales training I've ever been a part of. And I've been through a lot of them. So I think like you can, like that's going to be super helpful. And part of it is just like you having the confidence to pitch the real number, right? Like, and then realizing too, like $1,000 is kind of like, you're saying it's the full amount, but I would say that's kind of the low end in our industry, right? So part of that is you've got to have the confidence to throw that number out there. And then the other piece of this is some businesses really will not have the budget for it, right? Like some of them just won't be able to do it. And so you're going to run into that and there's nothing that you can do about it. But a lot of it has to be, can you paint that picture? Can you build that trust better? Can you have the confidence to put that number out there? Or the confidence that likes to say, look, here's the deal. Like I can get you the ROI here. Like we can do this. You're just going to have to take a leap of faith. And it's scary, but every big move that you make as a business owner is scary. And you just have to reassure them, like, I'm going to do every damn thing I can. I'm going to bust my ass to make sure you get results. Like that's just straight up. That's how it's going to be. And a lot of times when you do that, like when you just kind of reassure them, like, I'm in your corner. I want you to succeed. Like I want you to crush it. And I'm not going to be happy unless you get results like that. Sometimes that's enough. Right. And I'll tell you, I've taken on a couple of clients recently. I hadn't been taking on clients, but I just recently started taking on a couple of clients, and they were coming from a place where they had hired other people and then were not happy with the results. And then they came to me because of my reputation. And some of the people that they'd come from have really great reputations, like really good reputations. And I've been so pissed off because there's things like my most recent client that started this week hired somebody, okay, paid them $1,500 a month. Okay. Gym owner paid $1,500. I'm sorry, not $1,500, 1,500 pounds, $2,000 a month. Okay. Spent 600 pounds on ads. So that's going to be $700-800. Got 7 leads. Okay. What that tells me is that this really high priced, highly respected Facebook ads dude basically set up an ad and then didn't look at it for a month. Fucking pisses me off. Like that's not cool. And if I hear of any of you guys do that kind of shit, I'm going to be so pissed. Seriously. I'll be so pissed and you won't be in the group anymore. I will, that would piss me off. Like it ticked me off for this guy and that this guy has this reputation he has. So like that's going on out there. As long as you're not a shit human being that does that kind of things to people, like you're going to be okay. Like they might not have incredible ROI the first month, but like they'll at least be able to see where it's going, right? A lot of times though, you're going to be able to get them a great ROI. Now, the other thing with that is it depends on the business. Like you need to be confident that it's something that you're going to be able to get a great ROI. We talk all the time about there's easy niches and there's hard niches, and yet people still go for the hard bullshit that I wouldn't even touch. Like, it's going to be hard to say, yeah, I'm going to get you an ROI if you're doing something weird, right? But if it's a gym, if it's, you know, a chiropractor, if it's a realtor, if it's something that's like one of those niches that we described, like, everybody gets those people results. Like, you can suck at this and get those people results. So you should be able to feel confident, right, that you can do that. So I would just be, you know, just have the confidence to say that you can get them the ROI. Now, here's like the flip side of this. There's going to be times where you're going to have a client and you don't get them the results. That happens sometimes, right? And it might fall apart within a month because you just can't get them results. What you need to do, the position you need to be in, is that you worked so hard for that client that you feel bad and you wish it'd work better, but you don't feel guilty like you didn't do enough, right? Because the reality is sometimes it's just not. I've been in this position, Bobby's been in this position. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Sometimes their ad account is fucked 15 ways and everything costs 10 times more. That happens sometimes. Sometimes it's an area that's just not very receptive. I had a client one time where we were getting just an obscene amount of clicks and really cheap, but nothing we did, nobody was biting. And what we had figured out was just there was so much competition in that area, and they'd seen similar offers so many times that like people just were over it, right? And no matter what I did, I had a hard time helping that person. Like, sometimes that's going to happen. And then you got two choices when that happens. If you put in a lot of work and you earn that money and you're just weren't able to help them and you're able to part on good terms, like, cool, then you earn the money for your work. But if you feel really, really bad, you can always give the money back if it doesn't work out and you're out your time, but it was a learning opportunity. You got to experience and maybe you can grow from it. You know, so what I've done personally, I've only given money back one time. And that was not because I thought the person deserved the money back. I thought the problems were on their end, but they started getting so nasty and were just causing me so much stress that I was just like, it's not worth the money. Don't ever talk to me again. Here it is. Leave me alone. But what I have done is, when I'm always like confident I can get people results, because if I can't for some reason, I know I can figure it out. And I've given people free time. I've just been like, look, here's the deal. Like, this isn't working, but we're going to figure it out. I'm going to work the next month for you pro bono, right? I'm just going to do it because you've put money, you've put your faith in me, and I want to make sure you get results. Now, if at the end of that time period, it's still not working out, we part ways, but then they can't get mad that they paid me because I've just put in a whole bunch of free time, right? And they can see that you care and you're going all in for them. So that's kind of how I've handled that situation. But that was a really long answer that went all over the place. So I hope it was helpful. But like, if you've got follow-up questions or anything, you know, let me know.
No, that's good. And Jessica's live training was awesome. I have like 4 pages of notes on that. So
yeah, I've actually watched that thing like multiple times. It is absolutely killer. And yeah. Cool. So hopefully that helps, man.
Thanks.
I think you just gotta do like she says. You just gotta throw the number out there and then just not say a word.
Yep.
Like, you know, and yeah. So, and a lot of time, and here's another thing too. Sometimes people will say they don't have the budget and you just go, cool. Well, I'm here when you're ready to go. Just let me know. And then they're like, oh shit, I really want this. Like, it might be that they do have the budget, you know?
Yeah.
So that could be a possibility too. Sometimes not, but sometimes that is the case.
I have a question kind of along the lines of prospecting.
Bring it.
So I'm in a bit of a prospecting rut. I've done a lot of cold email. Did LinkedIn for about 2.5, 3 months there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been working the inner circle semi-successfully, pretty much not successfully though. One thing I've wanted to get into is the group method, and what I'm working on right now is I'm throwing together just like a baby website, and I would love to try and just run some ads. That post that Mike Sullivan had earlier in the week was kind of inspiring because I hadn't thought about it, because I was like, I don't need a site yet. I just need to find a full-time.
Let me throw one caveat out there really quickly.
Uh-huh.
He got really lucky. Like, kudos to him for going out and doing that. But for the amount he spent that he landed a client, he got lucky in that sense. Because then you talk to Ben, right? Who Ben has it locked down and has a paid traffic system that lands him clients every week. But Ben will be the first to tell you he spent money on ads for a long, long time before he got results. And that's the more common thing. But anyway, continue. I just want to throw that caveat out there.
No, definitely. It's something I'm thinking I'm just trying. But one thing I've really been looking towards, and I haven't put a question in the group yet, but the group method, and I know that really worked for you. This might be a dumb question, but what the hell groups should I be looking for? I mean, I've kind of done a lot of searches on there. Does it need to be exactly related to my niche? Do I need to be finding something that's more related to ads? So what do you got there?
The first thing is, some people go to my profile and look at what groups I'm in and then join those groups. I don't recommend that because I don't really prospect it like that anymore. So a lot of the groups that I used to prospect in, I'm no longer in the groups. So looking at my groups is not like indicative. Some of them would be good, but some of them aren't. I would say, like, there's a couple of things you need to do. One, if there are communities that are around your niche, if you have one, then those can be good communities, right? Like, I used to be in this group for boot camp instructors, and Facebook ads come up all the time in the fitness world because, like, the fitness world are a little bit more marketing savvy than other local businesses. And so, like, I would hang out in that group, that boot camp group. And, like, I've told the story before, like, I spent this one Sunday, I spent an hour just searching Facebook ads and answering questions in that group and commenting with people. And I landed 2 clients the next week based on that 1 hour worth of effort. But what you don't see from that example is that people knew me in that group. So when I started commenting and I started replying, people started chiming in and they're like, Mike's the best, and they're saying stuff like that, and it lends a lot of weight. So, so there's that to keep in mind. But that wasn't the case at first. That happened because I participated in that group a lot, right? So the first is, like, if you can find a niche group like that, which is going to be easier with things like fitness and real estate and some of these different things. But some of the groups, they won't let you in, right? Unless you're, like one of them, right? And so I actually used to get into fitness groups. So I had an online fitness business. So I got in under that and then was like this ghost marketer, right? But for me, the thing I recommend most, like, and I'm not even a big fan of, like, local groups. Like, you can do some stuff, like, if you're a lady and you can get into a mom groups are killer. Like, those can work really well. Dudes, you're screwed. No, there's no such thing as a dad group. Go to the bar or something, right? Like, but buy sell groups and then local business groups tend to be really, really bad because, like, you've seen it. You go in the group and everyone's spamming their services and no one's paying attention, right? So what you need to look for are the groups where, look at our group and then look for groups that are like 10% of our group, right? Where people are asking real questions and there's real conversation. There are going to be very few groups that have the engagement that our community has, right? That aren't paid. But for free groups, if you can find, like, okay, people are asking good questions, people are responding, the admin is posting content, is doing live streams, like, they're doing things, like, they look like they're going to be selling to the group because they're posting content, then that's going to be a good community. Okay. Another option is paid groups, right? I didn't really talk about this in the course, but certain paid groups are going to be great, right? Because if they're paying for a mastermind or a group coaching program or something, some sort of course group or something, then there's a good chance that they're investing in their business. They're trying to learn, and there's opportunities there. I don't have any examples off the top of my head, but like, I've done that before. Like I've had a good amount of business from paid groups, and they're higher quality groups. The number one thing that I look for, and I think is the best way though to use the group method, is find out things that you want to learn more about other than Facebook ads. Going to Facebook ad groups is useless, right? And the ClickFunnels group is also useless. But if you can find other things you want to learn about, if you want to learn about email marketing, if you want to learn about messenger bots, if you want to learn about copywriting, if you want to learn about whatever, then find those kind of communities and go join that community with the mindset that I'm going to get involved. I'm going to learn from this content. I'm going to become an active, engaged member of this community, and do that. And then when you become a member of that community and you help out when you can, people start to get to know you, start to figure out who you are, and like the opportunities will present itself. Because any of those business activities, like if there's a group about copywriting, there's going to be people looking for Facebook ads. If there's a group about SEO, there's going to be people looking for Facebook ads. There's a group about email marketing, there's going to be people looking for Facebook ads because they want to grow their list or whatever it may be. So anything like that, where you go, man, I want to learn about more about sales, right? I'm going to go into this sales group. Like the other people that are in that group are business owners, and they want to grow their business and they want to do things. And so, they're going to end up, being your prospects, and those questions will come up.
Okay. And then kind of related to that, just one more avenue I'm wanting to get into, and part of the reason I did just a mini site put together is just having somewhere to produce a little bit of content, just like once a week little posts. And I know you're starting to get into producing content yourself. I know you didn't really do that before, but to me it kind of seems like a solid background thing to have. Like if someone does ask me, I've had a few people say, well, what's your website? I said, well, it's under construction because I don't have one. But it'd be good for them when they get there that I have a few things that position me as an expert. Do you kind of agree that those are good things to practice just, once a week, once every 2 weeks, just something that's up there?
100%. 100%. I didn't practice it, but like there's so much stuff that like I did wrong and just made work out of like by force of will, right? And I didn't produce content, but I spent a lot of money on Facebook ads, when I had my online fitness business. And then like, that's the other thing. I didn't produce content as a Facebook ads guy. When I had my fitness business, I used to do a daily video, right? Like I used to do a vlog. I had like, and I would put out a daily video. I was active on Twitter. I used to have a massive fitness Twitter, that doesn't exist anymore. And, I did things, but, so I have that experience, but I didn't use it in this business. But for me, like when I got into this, I didn't need to do that because I had a full-time job. I had another business that was doing well. And I kind of got my start by helping out other people in the fitness industry. I started to build a client base a little more slowly. And then, I started using the skills that I had to kind of build things up. So like one of the ways that I build up my client base, I had built up a big enough network that I started connecting with funnel builders, right? And when they would sell a funnel, they would refer their clients to me to run the traffic. And so I was getting a lot of clients in that manner, but I can't share that necessarily as like a group strategy because I had 3 years of online business connections and conversations and relationships that I built to be able to do that. Right. But I'm a big fan of, participating in groups. I'm a big fan of producing content. If you're going to consistently produce content, I think that's a big deal. What I would always tell people, and this is actually I talk about it on the podcast, and like Bobby and I are about to drop the other course. I'm going to talk about this a lot. You need to have one content platform and one social media platform, and that's it. And when I say that, I mean other than your Facebook page. To me, your Facebook page is like a requirement, right? Now, which I say that, and then you go look at mine. I don't even have 100 people on there, but that's going to change very, very soon when my stuff launches. But you need to, if you're going to produce content, decide, am I going to do video? You just need to decide, what's my platform? Is it going to be a blog? Is it going to be YouTube? Right? Is it going to be a podcast? Like, what's it going to be? You can do other things. You can be a blogger that does video occasionally, or you can do like what I'm going to do, which is going to be do video and have written content occasionally. But you need to pick one thing. You need to be consistent about it, whether that's once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. And then, just turn it out and get in the practice of it. Because the goal is build an audience, grow your email list, sell to them, right? And Ben is a good example. Ben was not out there producing a bunch of content about Facebook ads and growing his email list and then selling to them. He was producing a guide, growing his list of Facebook ads and selling to them, right? And so what I'm getting ready to do, let's just take a peek behind the curtain of like Bobby and I, right? Laptop Empires, our main content, the podcast, right? Growing the email list from that, we're going to sell via email, but we're doing the podcast mainly. Now we're also, going to start putting out written content as well, but like we have the resources to do more, right? But then you look at my stuff, mine's going to be the YouTube channel. I'm going to use the YouTube channel to drive traffic to grow my email list. I'm going to email to them, right? And I'm going to sell them via email. So whatever whatever you want to do for content, like pick one of those things. Just pick the one you enjoy. Pick the one that you can do consistently. I was really going to go down the blogging route. That was the plan. Bobby and I had done all this talk about like what I need to do and how to set it up. And then when I started writing, I was like, geez, I'm only going to put out 2 pieces of content per month because it just takes me freaking forever to write an article I'm willing to publish. But if you give me my phone, I could produce a video in 10 minutes unscripted and it'll kick ass because that's what I'm comfortable on. That's what I'm used to doing. So I think it's good. I would totally do it. Just set what you're going to do and set a frequency. I'm going to publish 9 a.m. every Monday and every Thursday or whatever it's going to be, and do it religiously, right? And make sure that there's opportunities for those people to get on an email list somehow. And then even if you only email the days that you distribute the content, that's fine, but do that consistently as well. But I 100%, I will tell you where I am today, the reason I'm getting into all of this now, now I kind of have like the opportunity to get into it, and I had to make choices, and that was not something I did early on. But man, if I would have started doing that stuff 3 years ago, like it would be insane. Right. So I'm kind of like I'm like sitting here now and I'm like, man, I wish I would have done that. But then at the same time, we might not be where we are today if I had done that, because I was doing the things that were going to get me to where I wanted to go the quickest, and it worked. Right. So it comes down to what you feel is going to be best for you.
Right. And I'd love to do an email list and start building one. But for someone in my situation, or a lot of the hustler situation, who would I want on that list? Like eventually if I do start running ads for myself and I have leads and some of them don't convert, but I have their email, are those the type of people that would be on my list? Or am I, like for you guys, your list is people who are wanting to build online businesses. That could be a huge list. But for someone like me, I niche the real estate. Am I producing a list that's going to real estate lead client or possible clients?
Yeah. And honestly, there's more realtors than there are people that want to build an online business.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, you would, if you want to work with realtors, then you would create a piece of content, or here's what I do. If I want to do realtors, let's say I wanted to write, like we're just going to use that example. What I would be doing is I would set up my blog and I would write content about lead generation and marketing for realtors. And I would be doing 1 post per week or whatever it may be. I'd put it on my blog. I would put it on my Facebook page, and I'd put it on LinkedIn personally, because LinkedIn, those people are going to be on LinkedIn. LinkedIn gives you a lot of organic traffic right now. And I just think that's a high potential platform. I wouldn't worry about Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat or any of that bullshit. I would focus on LinkedIn, and I would just do my posts every week. And I might do mini status posts on LinkedIn on other days, right? That maybe drive traffic to the same content or to old content, right? And I would do that. So maybe I'm going to publish an article every Monday, but I'm going to post on LinkedIn and on Facebook. I would post on Facebook every day, but on LinkedIn, I might post Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday publishes the new post, and then Wednesday and Friday is a post about driving traffic to one of the old posts. And I would do that, but have all the content, everything on LinkedIn, everything on the Facebook page, getting them to download whatever guide, your real estate guide, that gets them on your email list. Because that, at the end of the day, that's the point of traffic, to get them onto the email list, right? Readers are useless if they're not on your email list because you can't contact them, right? So I would be then getting them to that email list, and then I would be sending Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so that would be my tasks. It'd be like, I have to write one article per week. I've got to post it on Mondays. I've got to post on Facebook and on, about that content or old content, Monday, Wednesday, Friday on LinkedIn and on Facebook. And I need to write to my email list at least once a week, if not 2 or 3 times a week. And I would just say, these are my things that I do. They're my tasks, right? And you just schedule them and you make a habit out of them. And then you go Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday are going to be my outreach, right? And maybe those days you're doing your group method and whatever. And I would just set that habit and just do it. If you do those things for a year, it's going to be nice. Like, there's good things will happen. You do those things for 3 years, you're going to be making solid money, right? So yeah, I would 100%. I'm a big advocate. We talk in the 5th episode of the podcast. We say there's 2 types of online businesses that we recommend. The first one is content producers, and the second one is freelancers. So we're teaching you to be a freelancer in this course. A blogger, a podcaster, a YouTuber, those are going to be content producers. And we say you can go one way or the other. If you go content producer route, it's going to take you, Bobby's doing great. He's been doing it for 3 years. But Bobby's doing in 3 years what takes most people 7 to 10 years as a content producer to achieve, right? Like, he just works harder than other people. He's a little bit naturally better at it than other people, and he's had some lucky breaks too, right? And so you put all that together. But it's going to take time. It's the long-term play. The freelancer option, you might feel like it's taking forever, but the reality is this is the fast option. And there's been examples in this group of people that within a month, all of a sudden it's like, hey, I got 4 clients, right? Like, it's just different. Everything's different for everybody, but this is the faster option. But the ideal thing is start a blog, right? If you want to be a content producer, start a blog like Bobby did, and then do digital marketing on the side to pay your bills for the 2 years it takes for your blog to start making, legit money. If you're a freelancer, then be a freelancer and don't do what I did, right? Because I had different advantages, right? I had different opportunities. But if you're starting from scratch, be a freelancer and produce content to build up that audience. That way, Ben is a great example of this. 3 years later, his content, his what he's putting out is landing him so many clients that he left his job. And then in the first month and a half after he left his job, he basically had 150% increase in his income, and by October, he thinks that by October, which I think is like a 3-month period, he will have doubled his income since he left his job. But that's possible because he was putting out the content and building that up while doing the freelancer thing. So, like, we're big proponents of choose your main route, but do the other thing on the side, right? Mm-hmm. And so for you, if you're freelancing, do the content on the side.
Right. And finding those people to be on that list where you're in our situation where you don't necessarily have a blog going, you don't have ads running. You can't just blindly add, a realtor's email that they put on their Facebook to your list.
No.
That's spamming. So
you need to put out content that they find interesting and valuable enough that when at the end of that content you say, join my list to download this guide, or join my list for more tips, or whatever, that they go, yeah, I want to give them my email.
Okay.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Right. So, and you got to experiment with that. You can try different things. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be, that guide can be a video. It can be a PDF. It can be a checklist. It can be a PDF, downloadable PDF version of the article. I've seen people do that. But what it should usually be is something that, like, if they're reading that article and they wanted to take the next step, they want to go a little bit more in depth, it gets them there, right? So as an example, Bobby's working on an article about Facebook ads for bloggers, right? And the extra thing is, like, Facebook ads 101, right? He put together a video of, like, let me just show you how to do this. How do you access Ads Manager? What's a campaign, right? Like, let me give you a tour. Let me walk you through it. That's really valuable if somebody wants, to take the next step. Somebody wants to create a traffic campaign to promote their blog post, and they're reading about this, and they're like, oh, wow, like, it's really valuable. Facebook ads is a great choice for a blogger. I want to do that. And they don't know where to start. And they're like, I wonder where I can find more about this. And then Bobby says, enter your email and I'll show you. Like, that's the kind of thing. That's what you want to do.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep. You're welcome. All right. I can probably do another one. Anybody else? Actually, I mean, if there's a couple people, then I'll do my best. I'll just talk faster, but who's the name behind Not My First Rodeo? And what part did you 100% agree with? I mean, I like it when people agree with me, but, I covered so much ground. I don't know what you're talking about. All right. Oh, content regularity. Yeah. Oh, it's Mike Heath. Okay.
Of course, Mike would agree with you. I'll have one more if nobody else has any.
Yeah, what's up, man?
So kind of back to a little bit more sales stuff, but I've had a couple different people that I've been on sales calls with. We get to the end and lay out the price, and they're like, okay, well, send me a proposal with all of the details. I know that you guys aren't a big proponent of doing proposals and things like that. So kind of what would be a appropriate way to handle, a potential client that's asking for you to send them a proposal?
It's so weird that y'all run into this so much, because I've only had one person ever ask me to do that. And it was a situation where we had a call, and it was my first big consulting gig. It's what this celebratory wine bottle is from. And they were paying me $2,500 a month for 2 1-hour calls per month, where I was helping them, like, with their ads and stuff. And so I was doing some stuff where I had access to their account before we had the call. Like, I would go through and I would analyze their account, and we'd get on and I would show them ways they could improve and help them with strategy and all that. And so it was a much, much, much bigger company. I mean, this was a 7-figure company, and they wanted me to lay out the exact things we were going to do. And they were doing that because they were writing a contract that I then had to sign. And that's the only time I've run into the situation. To me, when somebody says, like, when y'all are talking about this and they go, yeah, send me a proposal, I think more often than not, this might be a soft no, where it's like, yeah, this sounds great. Let's have your people talk to my people, right? Like, that's a no. Now, it might not be, but I think that that's what's happening. And so what I would be doing in that situation is, I would say, okay, cool, I can put together a proposal for you, but before I do, like, what hesitations do you have right now? Like I would actually turn it back on them, and I'd be like, you know, a lot of times when I get on these calls, you know, I'm getting a definitive yes or no, and you know, and you're just saying like, send me more details. Well, you have me right now. Like if I go and I write something, I'm going to have to guess at like what your concern is. So instead, like, let's just be honest with each other. Like, how about you just like, let me know, like, what questions do you have? Like, what is your concern right now? Let me address it right now. And then if we get to yes, and you just want it formally laid out on paper, then I'll go do that. But if you're on the fence, like, let's talk about it now instead of me putting something on paper and you just wasting my time. Now, and you phrase it nicer than that, but like, I really will. I'll tell people I've been doing, like, I say this a lot of times. And I think people think like, oh, Mike, you're in a position where like, you can just say this. Like, I've been doing this. I did this when I didn't have money either. Right. I'd be like, look, I'm not going to go spend an hour writing up a fucking proposal if you're just blowing me off. Like, no, you know? So, but I think like Mike made a good comment here. Like, how are you introducing the price? Like,
yeah. So when I introduce the price, you know, I'll go through a sales call. I'll go through, you know, all the 8 questions, and ask any other follow-up questions that I may deem necessary, you know, based on the call, and, you know, just listen to them and what their problems are and things like that. And then at the end, I say, okay, I hear what your problems are. I repeat what their problems are. And I say, if I feel like I can help them, I say,
yep,
this is what I can do for you to help you solve your problems and generate more leads for your business and things like that. And it's going to be $1,000 a month. So it's, you know, it's pretty simple and quick and easy. But that's basically how I've been approaching it up till this point anyways.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I do. I would personally, man, if somebody does that, like, hey, send me a proposal, I would just push back and try and get like, find out what they want. And I might even go so far as to be like, look, if I'm sending a proposal, then to me, a proposal is just formalizing a yes, you know? So if you're not at yes, I want to do this, then let's talk about what your holdups or what your concerns are. That way I don't go spend my valuable time working on a document for you to just tell me no.
Yep.
Like that is how I would handle it.
I like that.
So,
I mean, so far I've had like 3 or 4 that have asked me, and I've just sent them the proposal. But I like putting it back on them and asking them, you know, what's your hesitation? You know, just committing now.
And you've got to remember too, when you're on a sales call with somebody, like, it's super uncomfortable for both parties, and generally everybody is just trying to avoid the uncomfortableness, right? And so the proposal is a lot, like, it could just be them like avoiding having to tell you no, right?
Yep.
Like, let me get off this call, right? That's the easy way, because maybe they're afraid that like if they say no, then they're gonna have to deal with overcoming objections or like some high pressure bullshit. Yep. So a lot of times, like, and that's the same thing, like where Jessica said, you know, you state the price and then you shut up, because tension builds. And if you talk first, then you can kind of blow it, right? Like, I've done before where I'm like trying to hire somebody and I'm like, how much do you want to earn for this? And they're like, I want to make this much. And then like, I'm quiet and I'm thinking about it. And then they like cut their fee in half, like, because they couldn't just be quiet while I thought it over. And then I was like, yeah, okay, cool. you know? So, you know, you don't want to do that to yourself, but that tension, that like quiet makes them, they're thinking, but it makes people answer. And so a lot of times, like, though, you just need to kind of attack the uncomfortable situation and be the aggressor in that stance, not like aggressive towards them, but like just being like, I realize that there's a big elephant in the room, or that there might be a hang up, like, let's deal with it. And a lot of times when you say stuff to people, I'm always saying things to people along the lines of like, let's be honest with each other here, or like, let's talk about this difficult thing. Like, I will be that open about it, you know, like, look, it's clear to me that you have some questions or concerns that you're not 100% set on this. Like, let's talk about that, even though it's really awkward, because at the end of the day, like, I want to help you. And whether it's a yes or no, like, I want us to come to like a definitive answer instead of just like uncomfortably playing phone tag for the next month and wasting each other's time. You know, and so like, I always try to bring it to a head and pop that pimple if you can.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mike.
Cool. Yep, you're welcome. Anybody else?
Yeah, I guess we got one more question.
Bring it.
All right. How long would you give a client acquisition strategy before giving up on it? So if you got no traction there, how long would you give it until you gave up on it?
Okay. Think about how long you think you should give it and then multiply it by 5. Like, way, way longer than you think you should be giving it. Because everything in business takes time to pay off. And that's why, like, the reality is all of these strategies, it's not a matter of whether they work or not. It's a matter of whether they will work for you. Right? So, you know, Ben, here's an example. Ben's doing the LinkedIn thing, right? Well, Ben was going to give the LinkedIn thing a try, and then he accidentally bought a year's membership to Sales Navigator. And he went, oops, I'm committed for a year. And he's like doing it for a year. And I remember talking to him, and he's like, man, that first month or so, he's like, this did not work well for me. But now he's gaining traction a couple of months later, and now the snowball's beginning to roll. And that's how everything works. But what happens is people go, they try one thing, and then they give up before it can. So many things in business are just like, if you quit too early, right? So I would really just, it doesn't matter what strategy you pick the one that is the least painful to you, right? And then just commit to do that sucker every day for the next year. Commit to do that sucker until the end of the year. Commit to do it until 2019. That's not that long. If you do that, Mike says, and by longer, I mean forever. Yeah, commit to do it forever, because like, it's going to take, like, it's going to pay off, but for it to really snowball and like really, really pay off, like, it's going to take time. It's going to have to build up. And a lot of times, if a strategy isn't working for you, it's user error, not that the strategy doesn't work. Right? Yep. So, you know, like, here's an example. Like right now, you know, I sent an email to my list today, and the gist of the email was, I didn't send an email yesterday because I'm just getting back into this habit and I didn't do it. I screwed up. Right? But I'm back today, and it gave me material to talk about. Right now, I know personally that doing this podcast with Bobby and sending these emails is probably not going to make any money for me until next year at the earliest. I mean, the podcast kind of is, but like, you know, it's going to take time. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, look, right now I'm in a place where I'm like, man, I wish I would have started producing content 3 years ago. Instead of doing what I did, which was just going on webinar, being a guest on webinars and participating in groups. Like, I wish I would have done more of that. So I'm just having that in my mind and going like, let's not get to 2020 and wish that I had started today. So just pick the one that is least painful to you and go do it. Me, the group method makes sense because jacking around in Facebook groups is not painful for me. It's fun. I can do it on the couch. It's no big deal. Right?
Yep.
So that was what I went with. You know, Bobby, he's more introverted. He kind of took the approach of just like sending emails to people and going into like real local businesses. Whereas like, I'm kind of the opposite personality in the sense that like, I don't really want to go talk to people face to face. Like, I'm kind of like, I'm a real social person, but like, I don't really like to hang with people that aren't my people, right? If that makes sense. So like he did what worked for him and I did what worked for me, and just pick something, man, and then just do the hell out of it. You got anything else? No. Let's see what Mike said here. Mike said, I think I can help you. So if you're serious about getting started, I'd like to offer you space in my service. So yeah, I mean, that's a great line. I mean, the reality is, like, from my view, a sales conversation is you asking questions to prompt a person to talk about themselves for 90% of the call. And then you just saying, like, I can help you. Would you like to work with me? Would you like to do this thing? And then letting them say yes or no. Because it's really not you talking about what you do or how you can help them as much as it is just like letting somebody be like, wow, like he listened to me and he says he can help me. Like that to me has been more effective than, anything I did in the past. And I've tried the whole like hardcore sales tactics thing. So let's see. Who else is in here? Lisa, Bo, y'all got anything? Haven't heard from y'all. Putting you on the spot. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. It's 8:12. So if I don't hear from anybody, I'm just gonna shut it down at 8:15. Well, other than that, how are y'all doing? Like, just listening and learning. That's cool. Totally cool. Well, how are y'all doing? Are you still excited? Are you in that kind of like pit of entrepreneurship where you feel like this is never going to work? Or you like, we all go through those phases of the ups and downs. Like, where y'all at?
I've been feeling like I'm on the verge for about 2 months now. Like you get to that point, you're like, I finally got a POC client. So I'm like, I'm at the top of the ridge. My goal is to convert him, but then I've been feeling like I'm on that verge for the last 2 months here. So I'm like super excited, but then there's that part of me that's like super bummed out that I'm still on that edge.
Oh, yeah, I hear you. Here's the good thing about it. Like when you feel that way, when you're that close, the problem is you don't know like what is the one thing that's going to tip you over the edge. But once you're over, right? Like then you'll have a client, that's paying you, that you'll have work to do, but every client gets easier. Getting client number 2 is easier than number 1. Getting number 3 is easier than number 2. And you start to kind of figure out the pattern, so I know I know that feeling you're talking about, but
yeah,
man, it's that's one of those things, like it can be super frustrating because you feel like you're this close. But
right.
like here's a really good example from our community. Catherine, she posted and was like, it's been 3 months, nothing's happening. I'm so super frustrated. And like the whole group like gave her a pep talk and like helped her out. She's like, I'm on the verge, but it's just not happening. And then the next week she landed a client. We all celebrated. An hour after she landed that client, she landed another client and told us in the comments, and everybody, we're going nuts. Everybody's all excited. Then the next week she landed that $5,000 per month client. And then like 3 weeks later, we had the Fort Worth meetup, and she's like, I've landed 4 more clients, right? Like, and now she's so busy, like I haven't heard from her in a couple of weeks. Like, so, and she left her job. So it's one of those things, like, I don't know that it's going to happen next week for you, like it did for her, but one of these next weeks, it's going to happen for you. And, I know it's going to happen for you because you're showing up on these damn calls every single week. I see your face all the time in the group. Like you're doing the work, and you're consistent. You're not ghosting on us. You're not disappearing. Right. So it's inevitable. It's just a matter of like, when does it happen?
Right.
And I say it's inevitable because the only way that you can't make it is by quitting. Like, so you're going to make it. Like, it's just, when's that time going to be?
Yeah.
So
always been a late bloomer.
See, there you go. And I know that sucks to hear, but it's the truth. It's the truth. And me personally, like I talked about, like I kind of had to like it a little easier that I had this network and people started asking me for help. But when I made the decision, like I was just helping people. And then when I made the decision that I was going to start charging for that knowledge, like I don't talk about this too often, but like I had a really long stretch of months where I wasn't making money. Like I was like, oh, people will take my help for free, but nobody was taking my help for pay. And then it just happened overnight. Like it just all of a sudden it was this, one opportunity led to a bunch of paid opportunities. So let's see here. Lisa, I feel a bit overwhelmed at the moment. I'm doing a pro bono for a nonprofit I'm involved with. Excited about it. That's awesome. Any experience is good experience. It's going to build confidence. It's going to get you excited. It's going to help you learn some of those things that like you can't learn until you do it. So that's awesome. Hey, Jason, question for you, man. What are you doing? I kind of feel like you're maybe a little ways into this. Like you've kind of got some people, you've had a little more success just based on the way you're talking.
We have 3 clients. We're onboarding one right now, and we have a sales call in the morning.
Awesome. So about to be 4.
Yes. So
that's really freaking cool.
We started back in January.
Okay. So you've been here since day 1.
Yeah.
What's your last name?
Slosser. Candace.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. So that would be why, because I'm like, I don't recognize you from in there. So okay. that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's freaking awesome. I like I said, I didn't know. I'm like, okay, I haven't seen this guy in here before, and he sounds like he's
I had him happen. So profile.
That's awesome.
Group
Very
crash.
cool. Well, what really quickly, because I think we're probably gonna wrap this up in a second, but like if you've got 3 clients already, you've got another sales call. Like, what do you think? Like, what's the biggest thing you've learned now that you have paying clients? Like, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but do you have any did you have a big epiphany or anything worth sharing?
Choose an easier niche. So we started with a pest control guy, and that was a real pain in the butt. And he ended up dropping us after 2 months. And then we got a real estate client who was a friend, and then we killed it for him. And now he's talking to his friends, which is where we're getting our new clients.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
It's a building.
So is that what you're focusing on, real estate now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really key. Like when you the best way to get clients is to kill it for your clients, whether they're paid or not paid. Like when you get people results, they can't help but tell everyone about it. Like saying I've got a Facebook guy is like a point of pride for business owners.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is just being patient. The ups and downs of, oh my gosh, we don't have enough money to pay payroll. And then tomorrow I've got a phone call about somebody wanting to talk to me about what we did.
Yeah.
Just got to be patient and roll with it and keep going.
Awesome. I love how you're here on the training with your kids running around, because that's my life.
That is my life.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, guys, I'm going to wrap it up if no one else has anything extra. Did y'all find this useful? Like,
yeah, very useful.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yeah,
So we'll,
if you got like a real quick second.
Yep, go for it.
As far as like,
oh wait, you've already asked 2 questions. You're your limit.
Sorry.
No, I'm playing.
So like I've got one client that she's an author. I've been doing pretty well for her. She's been super happy with my services. I've had her for like 3 months now. Her sister and her co-own an online store, which I know is out of the scope of the course a little bit, but I'm thinking of learning a little bit more about that avenue and then offering my services to that. So how would you approach a client that you're looking to, upsell them additional services?
Okay. So usually what happens is like in my experience, a lot of times they come to you with the extra thing. But if you see an opportunity that you can help them for more, I think it's just with anything, it's a matter of like starting a conversation. And Mike, you're still in here, so I'd be interested for you to chime in on this because like you have experience with this kind of stuff as well. But I think it's just having a conversation about with that business and seeing if they're wanting to like apply the results they're getting to that other business as well, or give it a shot. And a lot of times they'll be open to it. One thing that I do when I do that is I tend to, even though it's maybe double the work, I don't charge them double the money, especially when you're getting started out because you've got time, right? So like, it's one of those things like I've had before where I had business owners where like, let's say I had a guy that owned a gym, but maybe the gym ran without him and has an online fitness business, then I will help him with both for less than if he was, it was two people hiring me. But really it's just about having that conversation. It's obviously a lot easier if they come to you, but you can always bring up the topic. And an easy way to do it is to say, always think of yourself as like an advisor. Like you are the expert, right? Like I'm going to help you for the next thing. So I always like to approach things as we're doing this, it's getting results. Let's think about the future. Let's think about what's next, right? Here are some things that we could do. And then just kind of laying that option out there. And so it might be one of those things like, hey, we're getting great results. You're really happy with what we're doing for you as an author. You also have this storefront. We could come in and we could do X, Y, Z. Is that something you'd be interested in? You don't have to, and then they go, yeah, let's do that. Let's talk about that. And then you go, okay, cool. Let's set some time aside to kind of talk about that. And then you can go and you can do your research and find out what you need to do. And you can go and have that conversation and have that scheduled where it's a legit conversation and you make your pitch. It's a little different because in that situation, like I don't usually kind of use the question method. It's more of me kind of laying out a plan for them of what you would do. And then them being like, yeah, I like that. Let's do that. And then saying, cool, this is what it would cost. And then what can happen is they can be like, I'm not really sure I want to invest in that. Or yeah, hell yeah, let's do it. A lot of times it's going to be the latter because you're already getting them results. Yep. But it's a different kind of strategy on like how you handle the sales conversation because it's more of like, instead of, the strategy there is you're laying out the plan for them. And
gathering.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's something, that's kind of how you would go about it. What kind of storefront is it?
It's a fashion clothing store. I haven't looked too deep into it.
Okay. Yeah, man. And that could be one of those things. And here's another example. Like, it doesn't have to be like super fancy with that. Like, let's say you were charging them $1,000, like, and you could do, in our course, we have the brand booster module. That's like the one-time upsell offer, like when you buy the course, and that teaches like how we do content promotion for local businesses. But it could be the same thing where it could be like, hey, we can like promote offers you have for that storefront, or coupons. We can build your list, like get people on. Like it could be one of those things where you're just list building for them. It's like if it's an online storefront, that's what I'd be doing. It's like, hey, interested in such and such, like here, get a one-time 40% off coupon or 25% off coupon or whatever it may be, where it's like a killer offer and they're opting in to get that. And then they could be email marketing to them.
Yep.
But you could even do stuff like I've been noticing lately, my wife, like she loves those, like, it's not a resale shop, but it's like, I don't know, like she sells stuff to them all the time. Like she'll take like her old clothes and be like, hey, yeah, but I guess it's a consignment store, but like, it's not like my mom's consignment store. Like it's like the hip consignment store. Does that make sense? Watch, my mom's going to watch this freaking video and she's going to give me shit for saying that, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, but she's been watching these videos where the lady, the owner of like the local store, she'll be like, hey, we've got 25% off of designer dresses or something, and she'll be watching a live stream that's just this lady, and it's like, here's this really fancy blue dress, and it twirls when you spin around, and it's got this pretty beading on it, like all this, like she's just talking about the clothes. My wife's spending like 15 minutes watching this freaking video, like, and you could just be promoting that video, you know? Like, I don't get it. I'm not a shopper. So
my fiance does the same thing. So
exactly. So, you know, like if they're selling clothes, and that's the other thing, right? Like you could be going to your fiance and be like, would this interest you? Like, would you enter your email for this offer? If I promoted this video, would you pay attention to it? And like, that's a good gauge.
Yep.
Wives and fiancés are a great gauge of like, will this shit work? Because nobody will tell you when, you know, nobody will tell you you're an idiot quite like your significant other, right?
Yep.
So, you know, I use my wife as a bullshit meter all the time. So, but yeah, so that's kind of how I would approach it, is I would just kind of, if they haven't approached you, I would be like, hey, this is going well. Have you thought about like how this could help for that business? Because I have a few ideas. And they'll be like, oh, well, tell me. And then you can kind of either tell them there, or you can say, cool, well, how about we just schedule a time to talk for 15, 20 minutes. I can break it down for you. And that's how I would do it.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mike.
Cool. You're welcome. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. So thank you guys for coming. Like, it's always great when we have, you know, people in here. I appreciate the regulars coming. I appreciate meeting the face behind Candace. You know, but no, thank you guys for bringing good questions, because that makes it, you know, is valuable. So
thanks, Mike.
Y'all take care, and I'll see you throughout the week.